And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, in the top left-hand corner of the map, Ohana. We have our yellow Protoss player, d.Bischu. And his opponent down here in the bottom right-hand corner is our orange Terran player from Empire, winner of game number 1. It is Beastyqt. And sorry, I realized my intro was a little bit delayed there, but I always listen for the music to go down. But the way our audio setup is, the music decreases for you, Josh, but it stays the same until it cuts off for me.
Oh.
So
okay.
It sounds like I'm just shouting over music in my ear.
And I thought you were going to point out the fact that you just said Empire is going to keep rolling on the back of Beastyqt. Like, you're implying that Beastyqt is this massive man that the whole rest of his team can just roll around on his back. Like, that's what I pictured. I was like, man, Beastyqt is a giant. How are you going to fit Koss and Happy and the Mista and all those guys just rolling around on his back? That's crazy. But yeah, he's probably normal sized.
I would imagine so.
Or at least normal for Eastern Europeans.
Right.
Braddock is really tall.
He is really tall. He's a very lanky guy. He's very skinny.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, he looks like Joffrey, who's I imagine is like 5 feet tall.
Right.
But he is about 6'4" or 5, I think.
Yeah, in
person.
I had always seen pictures of Braddock and things like that, but obviously that doesn't convey how tall someone is. Now, I'm a pretty tall guy. I'm 6'4", and I was looking eye to eye with Braddock. I was like, oh, hey, you're actually a really tall guy.
He's sinister looking like Draco Malfoy or Prince Joffrey, but he's also really tall. So if you're quite a bit shorter than him, I can imagine him being very kind of menacing. Lucky for us, we're about the same height as him. But Damaga is actually a bit taller than I thought as well. Either way, the player heights, neither here nor there. We've got a very quick command center out of Beastyqt on Ohana. d.Bischu hasn't really signified anything yet. He did not build a pylon on the low ground, though, building everything in-house, so to speak. So we'll see which way he's going to go with this.
Interesting. And, oh, wait, no, never mind. That was kind of weird. d.Bischu, he's deciding not to pull off of gas after seeing this command center first, which I think is kind of interesting. A lot of Protoss players will completely pull off of gas and just get their next unit up there as quick as possible. And I guess I just never realized that d.Bischu, he actually pulls workers off of gas and then continually rallies the next worker inside of his assimilator. So he actually has done that for the past 4 probes.
That is kind of weird. Maybe he's just keeping his APM up.
And now he's only got 2 on there again.
That's unique. That's interesting. Can we just switch to APM? I'm just curious.
Yeah, sure. He was known for having pretty high APM, but
interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Beastyqt is still able to keep up with him on that front. Either way, finally that Nexus is going to be dropped. It is kind of exposed down here on the low ground by itself, so if Beastyqt were to somehow switch gears and put on some real aggression, it could actually benefit him. We'll see if he's got that in mind, though. 2 orbitals flipping over at the same time for Beasty, and his second barracks is just about finished as well.
Okay, yeah, and he has decided to put up 1, then 2 gas. Okay, so both coming up at the same time. And we'll see how quickly he wants to power into upgrades or if he wants to go up in tech. Okay, it's back to 3 workers on gas once again for d.Bischu. He does have a total of 23 probes already out there, but still just working off of just 1 gas.
All right, as everything kind of comes into play here, second gateway there for d.Bischu. It is going to actually be a 3rd gate as well before any kind of robotics or Stargate or anything crazy like that. Could possibly go up to 4, 5, and 6 gateways. We'll see. Actually, he's probably going to want some more scouting information before committing, but he could actually have that option available once that second base comes online. 1 sentry being created for the time being, though, just in case any Marines show up unannounced. And Beastyqt, what is he going to build? Probably a factory. Yep, at this point, followed by that starport. Looks like MMM from him.
Now, d.Bischu decided to put up his 2nd gate at 25 supply. That's very, 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 very early. You'll sometimes see Protoss players putting up gates 2 and 3 at 27 supply if they're really worried about 3 barracks pressure or just something hitting them early in the game. They want to get out some extra units. These were so early, and we do see the forward pylon. I think d.Bischu actually wants to turn this into almost a Liquid Hero style 3-gate pressure. We'll find out in a second if he follows up and actually tries to do any damage with units, but he is actually making his way out on the map now.
Yeah, d.Bischu has had some all-kills in the past. I believe Beastyqt's actually had an all-kill as well in one of our leagues. I'm, drawing a blank on which teams, which players have killed off, but actually both of them still very formidable opponents. d.Bischu actually usually does favor gateway units more than anything else. At the most, you'll see Colossi here and there, but he's a big fan of Blinkstalkers, Charge Lots, Archons, more of the gateway composition that you see. So I would not be surprised to see some more gateways tacked on here soon and some aggression before that Tier 3 tech sort of is needed. But right now, Beastie is well entrenched here.
He's got one of the best reads on what's going on from his opponent that I've seen in a long time. I'm not sure where it came from, whether it was just a single gas. As you can see, he's not scouted a ton, but he is getting the hint of pressure out of his opponent and preparing for it. And d.Bischu, I think, doing the right thing. He had one warp in up at the front, but now he's just sitting back, producing his robotics bay, and moving up from there. If he decides not to drop down a couple of forges, and instead we see gateways number 4, 5, and 6, he may make that big, like, 2 Colossus push that we sometimes see. But I wouldn't know he's going to follow this up.
Yep, Beastyqt, like you said, is making a pretty good judgment. I think he must just sort of have the same notion of d.Bischu as I did, where, you know, he is a big fan of those gateway units, so better safe than sorry kind of thing. I have seen d.Bischu win with just Stalkers and Zealots in the past, so it makes sense for Beastie to maybe sort of see that d.Bischu has that kind of reputation. I'm sure they've played, you know, hundreds of times also. These guys just play all day long over in Europe, the really top class ones. Observer going to fly right past this Banshee, so it should really not catch him by surprise, but the Banshee did spot that pylon warping in, I believe. Yeah,
so now these Banshees are actually going to get shut down. I wouldn't be surprised to see a second Observer produced right after that first Colossus. Yeah, it's already queued up. And it is indeed gateways number 4, 5, and 6 before forges are thrown down. So this is going to be aggression. This Observer was coming over here so that he could warp units directly into the main. But catching that Banshee, decided he didn't want to go for it.
Okay, so he's still just playing cautiously. Cloak did finish for d.Bischu, even though his Banshee was spotted. He decided to let it just keep researching. With gateways 4, 5, and 6, he'll be able to warp in a lot of Stalkers to be able to defend against this. That Observer is going to be out in just a moment. Also, he needs to get the sentry to safety. Oh no, he should have kept running it. Now that's the sentry gone for no value, but the Observer is actually flying away from the Banshee, which is kind of interesting. He needs to get it over there. Finally, the detection from the Observer on the right that returned home is going to be there to do some spotting. Both pylons actually still standing here for d.Bischu, very close to Beastyqt's base.
And the second Observer did actually float back home. It's sitting over the main at the moment. d.Bischu deciding to play a slower approach now. Of course, he has the third base already on the way out, and he's got 2 additional forges, or I guess just 2 forges in general. Not sure. Okay, the Stalkers were just on home position. Wasn't sure why they weren't being moved to attack that Banshee, but he does drive that away. Unfortunately, that pulls all the Stalkers out of position, though, and this Banshee comes right back and starts doing some more damage for Beastyqt.
Yep, and this whole time that Beastyqt is distracting and delaying with these Banshees, you can see in his production tab, he's gearing up a lot of MMM. He's got plenty of Marauders and Marines on the ground now, rolling multiple upgrades and getting 2 medevacs out at a time to be able to supplement them. Ghost Academy is on the way as well. Obviously, Ghosts are a very key unit in TVP to be able to drop EMPs all over the place, prevent spellcasters from being able to cast, and it just does a ton of damage if you're able to, you know, blanket a lot of gateway units with those EMPs. So I like that move toward the Ghost Academy. The Banshee is buying so much time for Beastyqt to be able to do what he wants that he should be in a good position moving forward. He is actually a supply advantage and getting his third base situated now.
His opponent does have a pretty well-developed economy, though, already saturated on 2 bases, but could start moving things over to his third, of course. Probably does need to get those over to press his advantage just a bit more. Armory finishing up the exact same time that 1-1 hits for our Terran players. The Beastyqt will be able to move into 2-2 very quickly. Of course, the upgrades are very, very slow for d.Bischu at the moment.
Yep. Usually when you're researching those upgrades, you want to dump all of your Chrono Boost into it, but it looks like d.Bischu has been using it on units and probes for a while, and those Colossi that have been coming out, but with pretty large amount of MMM, Beastyqt, you know, with some good positioning. Actually, with the constant threat of these Banshees, positioning is going to be pretty easy because it will distract d.Bischu with a lot of his Stalkers there. You see 11 kills on that Banshee, and Beastyqt actually just loads up in the main. I don't think d.Bischu can see this in that spot.
No, I don't think he can either. So Beastyqt is going to back away from this position. He has baited a lot of forces out. Oh, he takes down the robotics facility almost immediately. How many workers does he kill? 14 with those Banshees. So even after being detected literally as soon as they possibly could, d.Bischu has still done a ton of damage to them. And he knocks out that Twilight Council as well. And picks off a Colossus.
Yeah, those 2 Colossi were naked as far as having any ground support. I don't think there's enough anti-air here, excuse me, to actually be able to pick off those. And the big attack at the third that we just barely caught a glimpse of there was basically the, you know, all d.Bischu needed to see to be able to GG, you know, losing all that tech right there with the drop in the main and about to get crushed at his third. d.Bischu knew that he was not going to be able to stand there. Beastyqt actually takes a second win for Empire very early.
That was really well played by BCQT, I have to say. I mean, getting work done with those Banshees, like I said, as soon as he was flying out with the first one, as soon as it left his base, it actually prevented the damage from being done because it stopped Bischu from warping in units and sent the Observer after the Banshee, and he still did damage with them afterwards. So BCQT hitting on all fronts there, had the attack geared up again, as you mentioned, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah, BCQT, very nice production. Really, the Banshee handling was kind of the star play there. Bischu could not really deal with it. He didn't really have the anti-air because he rushed to that Colossus tech pretty quickly and invested a lot in his actual economy. So he just, didn't really have a lot of options to be able to stop the Banshee play. BCQT prospered from it.
All right. Well, it's going to be another game and another PVT, it appears, as we are going to have Dream come in from Dignitas. He has chosen Antigua Shipyard as his map. A couple of things real quick before we go to the break. We want to see you guys out at IPL 5, so please do check out all information about the tournament at IGN.com/IPL 5. There's information about tickets that are available. Tickets are actually cheaper now that you can buy them at the door. General admission is $40 in advance. It's actually $50 at the door, I believe. And the same is true for our VIP tickets as well. $250 in advance, $300 at the door. So get in on those and the discounted hotel room packages right now. Again, head over to IGN.com/IPL 5. Secondly, we want to give some free things to you. Our friends over at TT Esports do have a giveaway going right now, in which you can actually win a TT Esports mouse and mouse pad. If you want to win those, head over to tinyurl.com/IPLTTEsports3. That is the number 3. So good luck, and hope you will enter.
Yeah, join us at IPL 5, win some free stuff, and continue watching IPTL Contender Division. Let's go to the break now. On the other side, we'll see BeastyQt versus Dream.